The road trip is mercifully over, and I have a Marlins Twitter legend to break it all down on today's show.
You are Locked On Marlins, your daily podcast on the Miami Marlins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome into Locked On Marlins. I'm your host, Jeremiah Geiger. I'm a diehard Marlins fan, and I've podcasted about the team for the last 4 seasons. You can find me on X at Jeremiah Geiger 2, and thank you for making Locked On Marlins your first listen of the day. It's part of the Locked On Podcast Network, which is your team every day. Make sure you hit subscribe on the YouTube channel and let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Football season is around the corner. Visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets right now. And on today's show, I have an absolute legend of Marlins Twitter. Dylan, welcome into the show. What's your account?
Thanks for having me. Marlins JDF 16.
That's right, Marlins JDF 16, otherwise known on Twitter as Fanatico Depresivo de los Marlins number 16. Consistently tweets out banger after banger, and I know it was time for him to hop on the podcast because right now, Dylan, the Marlins are scuffling, and I have a lot of thoughts. I know you have a lot of thoughts, and we're going to break it all down. An awful road trip led by kind of Clayton McCulla and his decision-making. We're going to get into that. Also talk about Max Acosta because breaking news right before that we hit record, he got called up according to Daniel Alvarez Montes. He'll be called up to Miami and make his major league debut. And we'll also talk about Robbie Snelling because I think it's time for Robbie Snelling to make his Marlins debut. Let's start with this road trip. My initial thoughts are just that kind of doomed the season. After
Pretty
the
much, yeah. I mean, that was
series,
kind of just.
we were on top of the world, and then everything came crashing down.
I mean, going into it, I honestly thought they were going to take 3 out of 5 in Atlanta. Obviously, that didn't happen. I think that's the worst managed series I've seen in I don't know how long. That was just so bad all around. Like, they didn't play well, but they just like it's just so bad all around. Like, I didn't get to watch a lot of it, but the parts that I did watch was like Clayton just throws games for no reason. Like, if they're not up by 8 runs, he just says, "Screw it, we're gonna lose." Like, I mean, like, as a fan, you think that, but like as the manager, you can't think that. Like, that's just it's so bad.
It's unfortunate because I was sitting here on the podcast talking about a playoff race. After the Yankee series, I was like, this team is back to 500. Let's shock the world. We got Houston and Atlanta, this big road trip. We can make a run at this thing. The Mets are playing awful, and the Marlins didn't do anything to make up ground. In fact, at some point in the past week, the Diamondbacks passed them in the standings for a brief time, and I'm not sure if they're still ahead of them right now, but essentially it was just missed opportunity after missed opportunity. I think the Atlanta series really got to me because that isn't a good Braves team. And I know there's voodoo with Truist Park. The Marlins choke all the time there. But if there was ever a moment to go in and take 3 out of 5 or 4 out of 5, in a 5-game series with an opportunity to make ground against the Mets, who ended up getting swept, it was then. And they blew it. The Houston series, look, you lose 2 out of 3. Houston's a really good team. I get that. But Atlanta, that just took the wind out of my sails. Man, heading into this past week with the Cleveland series, I was just, yeah, let's see what we do in Cleveland. But I wasn't amped up for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like for the Atlanta series, like you go into it like, oh, House of Horrors, they can't win here. But in like the no 9th inning lead is safe in this building. But at some point, like, it's a different team. You're playing a very injured Braves team. They got no Ronald, who always cooks us. No Austin Riley. I mean, Ozzy Albies having a down year. Michael Harris having a down year. Like, you got to think at some point you're able to win. To only win one with Eddie Cabrera and a Yuri Paris and a Sandy, if we're going to count that start, like, you got to get more than one. Like, that's just so bad.
And then the Cleveland series, you have Yuri
Oh,
and Cabrera pitching, and you still lose 2 out of 3. You won the Yuri game because of the offense. They got 13 runs, which was great. And then you have a really weird game with Edward Cabrera, who was off and gave up like 5 earned runs over 5 and a third. But then that was another example of mismanagement, because that was the game in which Valente Beozo comes in with a 1-run deficit. It seems to me, and we're going to talk about Clayton McCulla in the next segment a little bit more in depth, but anytime this team is down by a run, it could be in the 6th, 7th, 8th inning, they punt it. McCulla punts it, and he just says, all right, we're going to put in our worst reliever to try to eat some innings. No, when you're down by a run, the goal is to preserve the lead in order to give your offense a chance. And multiple times, we saw this in the Atlanta series. You're down by a run. Oh, here's Tyler Zuber. Here's Josh Simpson. Here's Valente Beozo. And with all due respect to those guys, they're in the major leagues, but how many of them are going to be pitching in a 1-run game for the Dodgers or the Padres or the Phillies? It's inexcusable.
like I think it was the first leg of the doubleheader in Atlanta. They were down by like a run, but they had threatened like 2 innings in a row. So they're starting to get to, I think it was Waldrop. And then they throw in Soriano, and went from like, was it like 3-2 to like 7-2, like within
Yeah,
like
just like that.
1 inning. It's like,
Snapping
okay,
the
well, I guess
fingers.
that's over. Like the offense was starting to find a little rhythm. Not saying they were going to win, because they probably weren't going to, but like they're threatening a couple innings in a row. You got to think at some point, law of average, someone's going to get a hit. X is going to get a hit. Marcy's going to somebody's going to not get a run in somehow, and then it just doesn't matter because you're down by 6 runs,
Right.
because you put in
And
a
that
guy
that
who's got
happened
a
multiple times.
7.5 ERA. Yeah, it just like, then there was game two, we were up like 4-0 or whatever, and then Sandy got through 4 innings. It was like, okay, get to the fifth inning, and it starts to unravel, and everybody knows what's going on, and Clayton leaves him in the game. Like, when the thing with Sandy is he's going to be fine. He's going to give you probably 5, 6 innings. 5 of them are going to be good, and the one's just going to be horrible. But you gotta end it before that inning it turns into 5 runs. If he gives you 4 and a third, 2 runs, you'll honestly take it. But because it can't be 5 innings, 6 runs, 7 runs.
It's sad that this is kind of the point that we've gotten to with Sandy, where we're sitting here saying, 4 and a third is good, like, but we got to be cautious with him. Like, that isn't the Sandy that won the Cy Young. But at some point, you have to realize it's a different pitcher now. He's not the same as he used to be. There's flashes of it, and he had a good start against Boston this past weekend. But yeah, you got to stop the bleeding. And when you fail to put in the right pitcher at a high leverage situation, and then you don't take out the starter when he's obviously losing, his energy and fading down the stretch, then you're going to get criticized. And that's the issue with Clayton McCulla. Really quick before we go on to the next segment where we'll talk about the manager, Max Acosta getting called up, surprising move. I'm not sure what the corresponding move for that is yet. I'm sure more information will be put out later. But your initial thoughts on what Max is going to bring to the Marlins? Are you excited for his debut?
I'm always excited when new guys come up. That's like a nice little like fresh breath, fresh air. New guy
Yeah.
comes up. He's a little exciting. I have no idea who's going down, or maybe somebody got hurt. Hopefully not. You never want somebody to get hurt. But yeah, I mean, I'm not sure if he's going to be any good. Hopefully he is, obviously. But it'll be nice to, because it feels like this team needs some life. I mean, they got a very nice win today. Hopefully that got them back on track a little bit. But it's good to have like a little spark plug on the roster.
Yeah, I agree. And we saw the last time the Marlins called somebody up, Jacob Marcy, he's been nothing but a spark plug. I mean, that guy is absolutely electric. But in the next segment, Clayton McCulla has been under scrutiny a lot recently, and it's all warranted. I find myself seriously questioning whether he's the right guy for the job. That's coming up right after this. Today's episode is brought to you by PrizePicks. the daily fantasy platform that lets you turn your football predictions into real rewards. Preseason is already heating up, and college football isn't far behind. Whether you got your eye on big name quarterbacks or breakout running backs, PrizePicks makes it easy to get in on the action. There's a lot of stars in the NFL, and there's a lot of fun players that you can find yourself, placing money on for their fantasy scores, for their stats. And one of my favorite things about PrizePicks is that they have a flex play option. It's a total game changer because even if you get a pick wrong, you can still make money. So download the PrizePicks app today and use code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code LOCKEDONMLB to get $50 in lineups after your first $5 play. PrizePicks, run your game. I appreciate all the everyday listeners making Locked On Marlins a part of your daily routine. I'm here on the podcast with Dylan, Fanatico Depresivo de los Marlins, posts a lot on X, and we're both diehard Marlins fans, and that's why we're concerned with Clayton McCulla. It almost feels like I'm repeating myself every episode this road trip, but it's warranted. He keeps doing the wrong thing. And the most recent example of this, which infuriated me, it blew my mind. I could not believe Clayton McCulla did this. And this was the final nail in the coffin for my hope in him as a manager, is putting Josh Simpson into a baseball game on the road in the ninth inning, a tie baseball game. It was 1-1. Simpson blows it. Fauché comes in, gives up one hit. The Marlins get walked off in Fenway. After the game, Clayton McCulla talks to the media and says, it's about the reps. Oh, okay. I thought it was about winning, Clayton. That's what I assumed. That's what professional sports should be about. But according to Clayton, he says, well, Josh Simpson, we think he's going to do some really good things, and it's important for him to get these reps. Dude, what are you talking about? I'm still infuriated about this.
He's managing them like they're still 20 games under, which that's fine, but I mean, it's not fine, obviously. But like that little press conference was when I was like, okay, they don't care, so I'm not gonna
Yep.
care. Like they lost yesterday, I was like, okay, whatever. Like they're done. They don't. I mean, I'm not saying go all in. They should have been buying, but they absolutely should have traded Cal Quantrill. I don't. That one blows my mind how they didn't get anything for him, or just like there's no reason for him to be on the roster. But
Yeah.
if you're gonna do that and kind of like stand pat, then why are you still managing like you're 20 games under and like it doesn't matter? Either go for it, don't just like they're like hovering in the middle, and it's just a complete waste of everybody's time.
I just want to know like what data he's looking at. Like we all know this team is analytically driven, but at some point use your damn eyes and read the room, read the field, understand what's happening. That's why, when it comes to these spreadsheets, just take them, rip them up, throw them in a fireplace, burn them because they're not working. Your idea of data in the late innings is skewed. Ronnie Enriquez pitched 1 2/3 innings this entire road trip over 11 games. There is no world in which that should happen. Multiple times he's warming up. He was warming up in the second game of the Boston series, and they go with Josh Simpson. Like that makes zero sense to me. It's something that has to be questioned. That has to be addressed. Why would you're going to save Enriquez for the 10th, for the 11th? You got to get to the 10th or the 11th, number one. That's not how you play baseball. He doesn't get it. I don't think he's the right guy. And if it was up to me, and this is harsh, I'd be looking for a new manager in the offseason. I think Clayton should be one and done. I'm out on him. I'm done.
I try not to like be too hard on first year coaches, first year managers, because like it's a whole different thing. But like if you just look at the difference between first year Skip and first year Clayton, it's like the exact opposite. I mean, Skip, I mean that team wasn't very good, and like there was a lot of like luck and BS. But like it just felt like he always made the right move, no matter what it was. It just kind of worked out. This feels like the exact opposite. Like game one or two against Boston, we just got blown out. I think I don't remember. But
Game 2.
Troy Johnson had 2 hits. There were only 2 hits through like 5 innings. He just hit a homer. Next at bat, they pull him out of the game. Like we were. Well, first of all, why? Second of all, you're down like 7-1. Who cares? Just let him hit. Why would you? I'm sorry. Like Eric Wagman does not need more at bats. I would rather, if you're down by 10 runs, I'd rather send a new guy up there and let him get more reps when it doesn't matter. Also, he's hitting the ball great. Why pull him out of the game?
Yeah, it's a just this is what we have to suffer through, and it's going to be the same story the rest of the year. We got 40 some games left. I think exactly 40 on the dot. Um, and then it's 2026. This is how this team operates. They play these platoon matchups, and sometimes you don't need to play the platoon matchup at every single opportunity you get. Like you said with Troy, was it Eric Wagaman that pinch hit for Troy there?
Yeah, I think it was Dane. But
Dane?
then
Okay.
Wagman came in later. But they pinch hit for him after the homer, and he was like, "Why? He's
Right.
hitting the
He
ball
just
great."
he just crushed a baseball. His confidence is through the roof. His first major league homer. Oh, just take a seat on the bench. We gotta hit a righty here because you're facing a lefty.
Down by
Just
seven
let
runs
them down
when
by
it doesn't
7.
matter.
Yeah. So they'll play the platoon advantage there. Clayton says, "Okay, we got to do this." But then when it's a 1-run game, he says, throw Soriano in there, throw
Yeah,
Beozo in there."
and then when you have like, look, no disrespect to Dane Myers, great game today, but like when in the Atlanta series, when that guy's like 1 for his last 30 or whatever it was, and you have a guy outside with I don't know, it was the second and third or whatever, pinch hit for him. Like you have like I think they had Marcy on the bench. Like like the guy's hitting like the guy can't buy a hit. Put someone in there who can get a hit.
And
Like
Jacob Marcy, like
in a
they've
must-win
sat him
game, in
multiple
a must-win
times.
game, you're not in a must-win game in the most critical at bat of the game. You don't need a guy up there who's hitting a buck 20. Like it's just, I don't know. It's just mismanagement. It's just bad fundament. That series was just so bad fundamentally, and it looked like they just like they would blow the lead. They blew 2 of those leads, and then they would just roll over and give up.
I think that, like you said, you don't want to be so hard on a first year manager, but if there's an opportunity to upgrade, I think you explore that option. This team never will because Clayton was handpicked by Peter Bendix after Skip was gone. Skip was the previous regime, Kim Eng, all that. So although Clayton wasn't the first choice, there were a couple finalists for the job, and then they settled on Clayton. They're going to give him a long leash, but he has to do better at some point. At some point, there has to be an adjustment. There has to be a realization of, hey, I'm doing things the wrong way when it comes to managing late innings with the bullpen. It's costing my team games, and I need to stop relying on platoons and pinch hitting every opportunity, bringing a guy cold off the bench because of the matchup. That's the other aspect of it. Now, here's where it kind of gets a little bit concerning, though. I don't know if Clayton's necessarily making all these decisions going into games. I don't know behind the scenes, is there a blueprint that he's following that says you have to pinch hit any lefty who has below this OPS when they face a lefty? You know what I mean? Like there's some sort of model that he follows to a T. I just think he needs to let off of it a little bit and just adjust to the game while the game's being played.
Any spreadsheet or whatever who says that Ronnie Henriquez, who has been probably the best or second best reliever in the bullpen, should pitch an inning and 2/3 over what 12 games? Not 12, whatever it was.
11.
11 games. That whatever spreadsheet data that came from, just burn that system because that's just horribly wrong. I should not be, with all due respect, I should not be watching Tyler Zuber pitch in a 1-run game. I should be watching George Soriano pitch in a 1-run game. Valente blows in a 1-run game. You go down 6-0. That's when you throw guys out there, and then
Right.
They don't pitch Tyler Phillips, who's been pitching great. Had a hell of a series against, I think it was Houston and the Yankees, and then they don't pitch him for a week. He comes off cold off the bench in a 1-run game, or cold off the bullpen in a 1-run game, and look what happens because he hasn't pitched in a week. It's just the timing is just so confusing. Like, you're allowed to make mistakes as a manager, especially as a first-year manager, but when you keep making the same ones, it's like, what are we doing here?
The definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. And that's what Clayton does. It's almost like he went on Twitter, he looked at our tweets during the Atlanta series and says, "I'm going to do it again. I'm going to prove them wrong in Cleveland. Like I'm going to prove them wrong this time in Boston." Like you said with Phillips. Phillips had an ERA of like 0.82 or something just nutty in the month of July, and then pitches great against the Yankees. We're going to sit you for a week. You don't pitch for 8 more days. Throw you back into the fire ice cold and expect you not to melt. Like, give me a break. The good news is the Marlins have a starter in the minors named Robbie Snelling, who's really, really good. I think it's time for him to make his major league debut, and I think it's time to DFA Quantrill. We're going to talk about that right after this. August 26th is officially FanDuel Futures Day, a brand new holiday for football fans who live for bold predictions and preseason hunches. For just 24 hours, FanDuel is giving you deals on NFL season predictions. So whether you're calling your MVP, eyeing a long shot division winner, or ready to crown your Super Bowl champ before week 1 even kicks off, this is your moment. I can't stand the Chiefs, so if the Chiefs don't win the Super Bowl, that's a win for me. I know they're pretty highly favored. And then the MVP race, you got a bunch of elite AFC quarterbacks, so you can take your pick from guys like Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, and Joe Burrow. I don't think you can go wrong with any of those guys, just not Patrick Mahomes. So visit the FanDuel app today and start planning your futures bets right now, because Futures Day is one day and one day only. FanDuel, play your game. Locked on Marlins is on the YouTube channel, so if you're watching, hit that subscribe button. Follow Dylan, Marlins JDF16 on Twitter. Locked on Marlins is also on all the major podcast platforms out there. You can listen to the show wherever you are: Spotify, Apple, Amazon Music. And it's time for Robbie Snelling to make his debut in the show, in the major leagues. He has nothing left to prove in AAA. His most recent start, 6 innings, 9 strikeouts. He's just racking them up now, dominating AAA hitters. And the good news is that the Marlins should have an open rotation spot, because they can't keep running Cal Quantrill out there every 5th day and expect to win. His 3 starts post-deadline: 4 1/3 against the Astros, 7 runs. Four innings against the Braves. He only threw 47 pitches. He was under the weather. And then 3 2/3 and another 7 runs. It's atrocious. I see why no one wanted him at the deadline. DFA him, call up Snelling. This has to happen.
Like, there's like 2 parts of the get rid of Cal thing at the deadline. The first one is, I mean, like, you're not going to win anything. He's not going to be back next year. Just get anything for him. If not, get rid of him. The second reason is, you get rid of him, you have room for a guy like Snelling, or even like a Thomas White. We're not close to that, obviously, too close enough to that. But like, you have an open spot for somebody like Snelling, and now he's blocked because you have a guy out there throwing meatballs over the plate and shouldn't even be on the roster.
Did you see that tweet from I think it's Pitching Ninja on
Yeah,
Twitter?
the
And it's
curveball.
like 12-6 curveball, and
I
Quantrill
didn't
throws
watch
it
that. I
behind
couldn't
the
watch that
hitter.
game. I saw that tweet like late at night. I was like, is this real?
Yeah, it looks like AI. It was so bad.
I'm like, oh, just overall, just so bad last week and a half of Marlins baseball.
It's so bad. I mean, I know football season's getting closer and I'm getting excited for that, but this is the moment in which, if the Marlins had put together any type of competitive effort on this road trip, I would be so stoked. I mean, when your team's in a playoff race, like, there's nothing more exciting. And I envy those teams that are, because right now, that National League wild card, it's crazy. You have the Mets, who are just awful. They're 65-58, but they've been losing everything since like mid-June, July. And then you have the Reds, a game back, the Cardinals, who are 3 under, the Giants and the Diamondbacks, and then the Marlins. If the Marlins had put forth, just something something to hang your hat on. Win a series or two. They lost every single series this road trip. We could be looking at a situation in which the Marlins sneak into the wild card. But McCulla says, you know what? It's about reps. No, it's about winning. And as a manager, wouldn't you want to win? Like, yeah, you want to get these guys opportunities, but at some point, when Ronnie Enriquez throws an inning and 2/3 over 11 games, you're doing something wrong. You're costing yourself games. I hope this week's better. You're back at Lone Depot. Finally, it felt like forever. You have the Cardinals and the Blue Jays. Any thoughts on those particular matchups?
Well, they gotta play the Braves again, so I'll be finding something else to do with my time during that series. Um, but like the problem is like they've played like so bad over the last week, and they're still 6.5 games back because the Rockies took 2 out of 3 in St. Louis. They were up on Arizona. I'm not sure if they finished that off. The Giants are
Yeah, they
free
did
falling.
today.
I think the Giants won. I think the Giants were up like 4-0. The Cardinals lost to it. I already said that. Like they've lost no ground. So it's like you can't even fully give up because they're in the exact same spot they were in when they were still playing well.
Right. And
Because
that's
the
what
Mets keep
kind
losing.
of hurts more is like you didn't lose any
If they would
ground
have
by
won
playing
like
all baseball.
if they didn't blow 2 games out of like the 4 that they blew, they'd be like 4.5 back. And that 4 is a lot funner to see than 6.
Right. Because now 6.5, and you still have teams ahead of you, teams that shouldn't be there too. Like after the Yankee series, I was like, the Marlins have the Cardinals, the Giants right there with them record wise. Both those teams shouldn't be good the rest of the way. If the Marlins just keep playing how they play, stack series wins after series wins, you win 2 out of 3, you win 2 out of 3, then you're going to incrementally push the Mets to the brink because you still have 7 games against them. That's where you can really get them and get into the wild card. And they didn't. That Rockies game you just brought up, you got to watch the highlight for how it ended. The pitcher,
Oh, I
his
didn't
last
see it.
name's Mejia. He literally makes a football Odell Beckham kind of catch. It was crazy, and then
Oh, it's
lies
gonna
there
be crazy.
passed out. It was wild. But this
Like
team is. Oh, go ahead.
I would say like it's like well the Cardinals and Giants it felt like in Diamondbacks, but we're all like free falling as we were going up. So it was like, okay, we're tied, but we're the only team that's playing well out of these 4 teams. Like Cincinnati's are they're playing well, but like it just felt like it all flipped. Like as soon as as they were free falling, we were going up, and then it just stopped because of
Yeah,
that. It was like the first Atlanta game just broke them.
truest man. It's a house of horrors. I don't. Do we go back to Atlanta this season for another series? I'm gonna
I
check the
don't
schedule.
believe so. I don't
Thank
think so.
God.
I think we play them again at home next week,
Yeah,
or
Jacob
maybe this
Marcy. Here's the goals for this week for Clayton McCulla. Ronnie Enriquez has to pitch 3 days, at least 3 days this week. Give him an opportunity to pitch in a baseball game. He's pretty good. And then just keep starting Jacob Marcy. No more pinch hitting. I think this happened either Atlanta or Cleveland, but it just makes me laugh. He pinch hit Eric Wagman, um, and brought Eric Wagman into the game for Marcy or something like that. I'm also kind of over the Wagaman experiment. He always homers.
Ironically, he's been actually decent the last like week.
I know.
Like somebody
I
was telling me
know.
last night, he's got like a 780 OPS or something like over his last like week. But I mean, I'm not buying any stock in, but like at least it's better than like Derek Hill.
Yeah, I mean, I think Wagaman's. I mean, I got on here and I was just roasting him because he's so bad. And then the one time he does homer, that Chris Paul meme
It's
in
like
from a
seven to
few years.
nothing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's like 7-0. Oh, and Eric Wagman solo homer. Let's go. And I'm like,
yeah.
dude, who
Thanks for that.
cares?
You couldn't do that. You couldn't do that when there was guys on second and third and 2 outs.
He hit a triple in this Red Sox series too. So maybe we're gonna go
He
on
had a
a.
triple in the Brave series too.
Maybe we're about to see this Linsanity run from Eric Wagaman the rest of the way.
He's turning the corner.
What if they like bring him back next year and they're like, we believe in his ability?
Oh
That
man,
would be
no.
such a Marlins thing to do.
They need
It
a
would
first
be
base so bad.
so bad. Because I talked about this a couple episodes ago. I'm concerned, like the concern meter for me is at like 10. when it comes to Davidson De Los Santos. The fact that he hasn't been called up already post deadline, that's not good because it can't get any worse at first. Like you have a existing level of production that's not major league quality, and you have somebody in the minor leagues who's supposed to be that guy, who's supposed to be that masher. They're getting zero power. Well, then the organization sees something in De Los Santos that is a cause for concern.
Yeah, it's just you can't just Troy's. I mean, I don't think. I'm not sure if he's a serious option at first base, but I would rather see him go out there, and I would rather watch Troy go 0 for 4 than Wagman go 0 for 4. If that makes any sense.
Absolutely, yeah, I'm the same way. I want to see Snelling get called up soon. Preferably in the next week. I think if there's any time to do it, it has to be now because Quantrill, everything isn't working for him. He's just throwing beach balls up there. So we'll see what happens. But if you had to guess, when do you think he gets called up, Snelling?
I don't think they're gonna DFA Cal, at least not like for his next start. I don't know. They might just let it ride out. I mean, I guess it kind of depends. I mean, like if they just who do we have next? It's not.
St.
Is it
Louis.
Toronto next? St. Louis. That's right. I mean, Cal won't. I don't think Cal's scheduled to pitch in that series, so obviously it won't be then. I mean, I don't know. They probably. I mean, hopefully, if Cal has got like 2 more blow up starts and that's it. But I mean, they keep Wagaman around and they keep Derek Hill around. I mean, he's been hurt, so that's kind of not fair. But like, they tend to like just like Marlins, like history. They don't like get rid of guys who suck.
Yeah, yeah. That's why they've only have 2 playoff appearances in the last 20 years. That's what happens. Last thing before we get out of here, I do want to see Snelling called up earlier. I think he'll get called up in September, but just to give him that experience, give him a solid 7-8 starts the rest of the way and see what you have heading into next year. Because I think the sky's the limit for him. But Dylan, thank you for coming on the show. Tell the people where they can find you on Twitter and what you do over there.
My ad's right there on the screen. You can go ahead and follow me. I'll follow back. I'll try to at least. I don't always check my notifications, but yeah, go ahead and follow me over there.
Yep. And that's going to do it for today's edition of Locked On Marlins. I appreciate you all for listening or watching. And until next time, stay safe, stay locked on, and let's go fish.